Right now, you probably know the exact time down to the minute without even thinking about it. But for most of human history, there were no clocks, no watches, no phones to check. So how did ancient humans know when to wake up, when to hunt, or when night was coming? The answer is that ancient humans didn't need a clock because they had something far bigger. They had the entire sky. Think about how much modern life depends on knowing the exact time. Alarms, meetings, appointments, even the simple act of catching a bus all rely on precise, synchronized timekeeping. Take that away completely, and you might expect chaos. But ancient humans built entire functioning societies, coordinated hunts, seasonal migrations, and complex rituals, all without a single ticking clock. The most obvious and reliable clock available to ancient humans was the sun itself. Its position in the sky changed constantly and predictably throughout the day, rising in roughly the same direction every morning and setting in roughly the same direction every evening. Early humans learned to read this movement with remarkable precision. A low sun near the horizon meant early morning or late evening. A high sun directly overhead meant midday. This gave them a rough but consistently reliable sense of time, accurate enough to plan hunting trips, gathering expeditions, and travel. Shadows became an even more precise tool. As the sun moved across the sky, the length and direction of a shadow cast by a tree, a rock, or even a standing person changed in a predictable pattern. A long shadow pointing one direction meant early morning. As the day progressed, the shadow would shorten, then begin lengthening again in the opposite direction as afternoon approached. This simple observation eventually evolved into one of humanity's earliest inventions, the sundial, formalizing something ancient humans had already been doing naturally with sticks and shadows for thousands of years. Different cultures across the world developed their own versions of this idea independently, from ancient Egypt to early Chinese civilizations, suggesting that reading shadows for time wasn't a single clever discovery, but something nearly every human society eventually figured out on its own, simply by paying close attention to the world around them. But daytime was only half the puzzle. Once the sun disappeared, ancient humans turned to an entirely different clock, the night sky itself. Certain stars and constellations rise and set at predictable times throughout the night, shifting position gradually as the hours pass. Ancient humans who spent countless nights around fires, watching predators, or traveling after dark became skilled at reading these star patterns to estimate how much of the night had passed. The moon added another layer of natural timekeeping, but on a much longer scale. Its phases, moving from a thin crescent to a full glowing circle and back again, created a natural monthly cycle. This rhythm became so important that many ancient calendars were based directly on lunar cycles, long before anyone tracked days using the solar year we use today. Beyond the sky, ancient humans also relied heavily on their own bodies and biological rhythms. Hunger at certain points in the day, natural tiredness as darkness approached, and the instinctive urge to wake near sunrise all functioned as an internal built-in clock, refined over countless generations of living according to natural light and darkness. Animals played a surprisingly important role as well. Certain birds sing loudly at specific times, particularly around dawn, while other creatures become active specifically at dusk. Ancient humans who lived closely alongside nature noticed these patterns and used them as reliable natural alarms and time markers throughout their daily lives. Insects added their own layer to this natural clock. Certain crickets and cicadas begin calling at very specific points in the evening, so consistently that some cultures used their sounds almost like a built-in evening alarm, signaling that dusk had officially arrived and it was time to return to camp or prepare for the night ahead. Seasonal changes provided an even longer scale calendar. Changes in temperature, the migration patterns of animals, the blooming or withering of specific plants, and shifts in daylight length all signaled which part of the year it was. This seasonal awareness was critical for survival, determining exactly when to plant, when to harvest, when to migrate, and when to prepare for harsh winter conditions ahead. As human societies became more organized, some cultures began building large stone structures specifically designed to track time with incredible accuracy. Structures like Stonehenge are believed to align precisely with the sunrise and sunset positions during solstices, essentially functioning as massive permanent calendars built directly into the landscape itself. These monuments show that ancient humans weren't just casually noticing time. They were actively studying it, testing it, and eventually engineering physical structures specifically to track it with impressive long-term precision, even without writing systems, mathematics, or any of the tools we consider essential today. Similar solstice-aligned structures have been discovered across completely different continents and cultures that had no contact with one another, from ancient sites in the Americas to structures in parts of Asia and Africa. This suggests that tracking the sun's yearly cycle with precision wasn't a rare stroke of genius, limited to one civilization, but a widespread human achievement, driven purely by careful, patient observation repeated across countless generations. Eventually, humans developed early mechanical methods to track time more precisely. Water clocks, which measured time through the steady, controlled dripping of water from one container into another, appeared independently in multiple ancient civilizations. Candle clocks, which burned down at a predictable, steady rate, offered another method for indoor or nighttime time tracking when the sky wasn't visible. What's remarkable is how much precision ancient humans achieved using only careful, patient observation. They didn't have laboratories, instruments, or written scientific theories. They had thousands of years of watching the sky, the land in their own bodies, slowly building an intuitive but remarkably reliable system for understanding time. Some ancient water clocks were sophisticated enough to divide a full day into smaller, roughly equal segments, allowing certain civilizations to schedule ceremonies, work shifts, and public events with a level of coordination that might surprise most people today. This wasn't guesswork. It was engineering, refined slowly through trial and error, long before anyone understood the physics behind consistent water flow. In many ways, our obsession with constant precision today, tracking every single minute, feeling anxious about being even slightly late, is actually a very recent development in human history. For most of our existence, time was something felt and observed gradually, not something rigidly measured down to the second. The next time you glance at a clock or your phone to check the time, remember that for most of human history, people looked up at the sky instead, and somehow that was more than enough to build entire civilizations around. There's something almost humbling about that thought. Every harvest planned, every migration timed correctly, every ceremony held at exactly the right moment. All of it achieved without a single ticking gear or digital display. Just patient eyes trained on the natural world for thousands of years. If you find this kind of ancient knowledge fascinating, let us know in the comments how you think you'd tell time without any modern tools. And if you want more surprising truths about how ancient humans figured out the world before science existed, hit subscribe for more.